Alrighty. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever time you're watching this video. My name is Andrew Rivera, and I'm back with another video. And this one may be a little bit different. I'm going to be video response to a thread from let me try it again. A thread from Zana Day. I'm sorry, which who she was the former director of MPP, a Movement for a People's Party, and if you don't, I'm sure everybody knows by now, but she's accused the founder Nick Branna of sexual harassment, assault, misconduct. Basically, I'm not sure. I don't remember the exact details, but that's not really relevant towards this video. And anyways, she did a thread recently about Jimmy Dore and criticizing him, and and his support for MPP. And I wanted to respond to it because I thought she made some decent points, so I figured I would respond to it in video form like I'm doing now. And let's before I do that, I do want to give some disclaimers or preface this by saying that I am a fan of Jimmy Dore. I do like his show. I do like him, and I just wanted to be honest about that. So there's not really, and no one really surprised with that. I tweet about him. I tweet about him a lot. So I did wanted to preface that and be honest about that before I start my commentary on her thread, but just wanted to preface it before I get into it. So here we go. Let's start. I'll get rid of my face for now because you can't really see me anyways. So there you go. And so here's the start of the thread. I probably won't read the whole thing because and I'll probably end up reading the whole thing anyways. So let's start. Yes, a thread about Jimmy Dore. No, I'm not trying to ruin Force to Vote. I'm not a Dem, but I have criticisms of Dore and his actions that have harmed and continue to harm people, particularly survivors of abuse in real ways. These matter. All right. No, there isn't. Let me see if you can see this. Yeah, you think you could. No, there isn't a wrong time to talk about abusers and people who cover for abusers engaging in rape, apologia. I might have butchered that, but whatever. Victim harassment and corruption cover up, or asked that they continue to support their stop. So here it is. Don't ask victims to car- compartmentalize trauma. Sorry, can't read this afternoon because it's a separate issue. Or ask them to give credit to their abusers for being right, or ignore their abuses for the greater good. That is not solidarity for the working class, marginalized, or impacted communities. Now, this is again a fair point. I mean, I don't. I've never been sexually assaulted. Again, I can't talk this afternoon, or harassed or anything like that. But I can understand if I were the frustration of, oh, that's not a big deal. Happened 30 years ago. Just move on. No, fuck you. How about that? I mean, it's traumatizing to be sexually assaulted or abused or raped. Even and that's definitely I can imagine how that would feel. This kind of thinking is exactly what protects abusers and those who cover up abusive in religious institutions, police, politics, and workplaces, and even in families. Ignoring rape culture is not okay. Sexual violence is a crisis, and there's millions of victims every year. All right, let's keep reading. Yes, Dore was right about forced to vote. Jank TYT and others did nefariously attack him over it. I acknowledge this. This may be why people attack folks with any criticism of Dore, but there's an issue on the left that is ongoing and beyond FTB, forced to vote. This is why I think her criticisms are more valid and more fair because she does acknowledge that he was right about forced to vote. Unlike a lot of like Jank and TYT sycophants, they don't even acknowledge that. They try to ignore that and try and smear him over other stuff that that's not his fault. So yeah, that's why I tend to think this Zaina Day's criticism more valid and more fair than what others are on the left. All right, let's keep going. He was right up in 2020, but Dore has done something abhorrent thing since. I can't read today. He's no ally, and he is toxic. Just this week, he was on MPP's People Party podcast, saying they are the answer, the alternative, despite being an organization that has been abusive to many. Here again, the thing with this is that yes, I didn't even know he went on that. I didn't even know People's Party had a podcast. For me personally, I don't think much. I'm not impressed with People's Party. They're a bunch of nerds running around, pretending they're a party, but they're really not. They're just a bunch of nerds just going around collecting money from people and then proceeding to do nothing with it. So, and Nick Branna is also just a creepy little nerd in my opinion. So I've never really taken them seriously, but apparently, Jimmy Dore is personal friends with Nick Branna, which is why he, I think, takes him more seriously than I would, than I do. But let's keep going here. The People's Party fired half the board staff and me to cover up my sexual harassment slash assault complaint against their chair, Nick Branna. Jimmy Dore then had Branna on his show where they both smeared me before I went public, leading to months of harassment by Dore supporters. Again, yes, I do remember actually. I was watching the show Jimmy Dore, not the show, but the clip was uploaded to YouTube when Jimmy and Nick Brana kind of did this, and I thought, what was I didn't understand what was going on. Like, why would they even? They pretended that like there are some people out there that are a part of the Democratic Party, like a cabal, trying to smear the People's Party and Nick Brana, and I thought that's kind of weird. Like, why would they? It's like they're getting out in front of something. I didn't know what it was at the time. Now I do. Well, now we do, obviously, but yeah, I also her point about leading to months of harassment by Door supporters. Yeah, there are a lot of commentators that have audiences that are really loyal and really like what's what I'm looking for. I forgot the word. Anyways, they're really like loyal to their commentator. Not the word I'm looking for, but that's the word I came up with at the second. And this second, they're loyal to the commentators they like. That when there's even any minor criticism, they go after them. Like they go after those criticizers. Like there's some kind of like an army, and they're brutal again. They smear people. They threaten you on they're like the internet tough guys, the keyboard tough guys. Keyboard warriors. That's what they become, and it's ridiculous. But let's get to the next tweet. The People's Party has engaged in continued retaliation and intimidation. Their actions damage my life and others. In July of last year, MPP also released private messages claiming that because I was nice, in quotes, to my abuser after the assault, my claims were false. Again, that just because you're nice to the potential abuser doesn't mean that you were not abused by that person. People respond to abuse in different ways. This I don't know how I would respond in that situation, so I'm not going to criticize Zana Day for being nice to Nick Brana after the abuse. My mother was. I'm going to tell this story because I think it's relevant here. My mother was not sexually abused, but like physically abused by my stepdad constantly. It wasn't all the time, but there was occasionally there was some. He slapped her, he kicked her, stuff like that. And I was a little kid, and she kept making excuses for him and taking him back and saying that she loved him and he won't do it again. And so that's why I'm kind of sympathetic to women that are nice to their abusers because they make excuses for them because ultimately that's what a lot of women tend to do and men too that are abused tend to do. It takes a while to accept it and to get out of the situation. It's horrible, but it's the truth. Um, this is the next one. Okay. No understanding of trauma and the fawn response. This is where the victims will try to appease their abusers at first, which is generally a symptom of post-traumatic stress disorder (PTSD) and a protection mechanism. That's why I was going through the time. I had no idea it was called the fawn response, but yeah, I just discussed that with my anecdote with my mother. So yeah, it's possible. That's very likely what was going on here. Jimmy Dore retweeted MPP's horrific thread in support of MPP, promoting it further, causing so many people to start bombarding my social media with harassing comments, threats, and more. He has a massive platform, and he's responsible for how he uses it. Retweeting that was kind of like it's kind of I don't know. I mean, I saw that. I don't remember if I responded to it or not. I may have, but I don't really remember what I said. I did see that him retweeting. I saw those tweets too, and yeah, I mean, I thought, he shouldn't probably retweeted that, but at the time, I didn't realize how what that would cause Dana Day to go through. Uh, he said many tropes that are toxic for survivors, suggesting if people are in a relationship, it invalidates sexual violence. Dore is a friend of MPP in his chair. He's also was in talks with him during and after the harassment investigation about 2024 presidential run. Yeah, I mean, he was talking to MPP about running for president on their under their party banner, and at the time, really, you gonna run for president under MPP is like. I mean, I already gave my opinion on MPP, and I'm not really that impressed with their operation and with their leadership in general. But because of Dore, I was harassed for months, mostly by his supporters. He gave legitimacy to rape apologia arguments. He made false statements. He painted me and others as nefarious secret group, which I talked about already. Conspiracy bullshit. There's no way we can prove otherwise. I need. Yeah, he did talk about how he claimed there was some Democratic Party cabal or conspiracy against Nick Branna and MPP. I'll say this about that. Why would a Democratic Party be scared of Nick Branna and the MPP? They haven't even run a single candidate, as far as I know, and they haven't won an election. They're very unimpressive. They're a very unimpressive operation and political party. I would probably be more afraid of the Greens if I were Democrats. Even then, the Greens are pathetically weak and losers anyway. So I don't know why Jimmy Dore would think the Democrats were scared of the Movement for People's Party. On Friday of this last, Dore even went on MPP's podcast lifting up Brana again, claiming MPP is some answer to FTV, forced to vote. So no, it's not 100% right. MPP isn't a solution. He can't stand up to corruption either, or what's right. He plays political games just like the establishment. Now, that's her opinion. Let's see the next one. Just like the orgs that continue to cover corrupt politicians, he's doing the same damn thing by supporting the People's Party. Excuse me. Despite well documented years, excuse me, of problems, corruption, and abuses. I saw very little pushback on Dore what he did. I watched as the pundits and platforms continue to celebrate him while not acknowledging his other toxic behaviors because of his platform is large and they don't want to be canceled for challenging Dore. I don't know what she means by that. Not is other toxic behaviors. I mean, does she? I don't think she really gets into what she means by that. So I would like for her to get into that further if she can because I don't understand. I don't know what she means by that. So they tag him. Signal despite what he's done to others. They are still a fan. A retweet from Dore gets a lot of traction. Going on his show brings viewers. It takes political courage to expose bad behavior from popular people than to ignore it. Again, this is interesting because I do tend to do this myself, tag him in tweets and other things that I've done personally, so try to get his attention. So I'm guilty of this, to be fair. I mean, but just to have your tweet or even your clip on his show is a huge deal to a lot of leftist commentators and political pundits online because he has a big platform. I said this in I think in DMs and DM group I'm in, but Jimmy Dore is kind of the modern day Rush Limbaugh. If he endorses you, if he if he says you're great or he says you're good, your your subscriber count will go way up. Your followers on Twitter will go way up. So I get what she's saying here, and it's a decent point. And I've been guilty of this in the past, and currently, honestly. Whistleblowers smeared, pushed to the sideline for the greater good, or because the person is too likable. Folks claiming that Andrew Tate speaks truth to power, and we should look at that, not him being a predator that perpetuates sexual violence. Andrew Tate is just a motherfucker. I don't like him at all. He's a piece of shit. So I have no problem with her saying that there. I don't blame people who don't know the history, but I am disappointed in the podcasters that do know this, but continue to present Dore as a truth teller and a true left. Anyone who attacks him or his criticisms of being him or his criticisms of a neoliberal hack. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of that. Jimmy Dore is above criticism. I don't think that's true. He's definitely not. No one's above criticism, and a lot of his audience tend to be again, I forgot the word I'm looking for, but you get what I'm saying. It's easy to stand up people who most folks are already angry with. What's hard is exposing people's popularity at risk of being canceled, or losing the boost gained by supporting them, or going on their shows, etc., or simply causing tension with friends. Again, that's true too. A lot of people don't want to upset their friends, or a lot of people don't want to get into longer, long, fights on Twitter or being canceled. So that's true too. But me personally, I mean, it doesn't really bother me too much. I mean, so I really don't care. I criticize anybody when I deem it necessary. Look, when I stood up against AOC game money, blah, 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 yeah, I mean, I'm gonna not read too much more of this. Unlike Dore, who makes load of money off confronting progressive inaction, I lost my job at the organization I helped found, 4 years, real sacrifice worth it. Yet people cannot even hold Dore to account for what he's done to the survivor community because they are afraid of losing moots, which is like friends and stuff, mutual friends basically. Yeah, I mean, look, I don't. He may have done it to her personally, but I don't think him defending MPP and Nick Branna does it to the entire community of sexual assault survivors. That's more to her personally, but I understand what she's saying there. Of being accused having door derangement syndrome. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of that door derangement syndrome, especially with TYT and their sycophants. But fair criticism of Jimmy Dore is not Dore derangement syndrome. This happens anytime I bring up him covering up corruption for political gains, profits, and the good old boys club loyalty. Dore sounds pretty established to me. I can't read. I still can't read. I don't understand what she means here. I mean, I just don't get this part either. So these podcasters are still doing weekly shows about how Jimmy's a class traitor and allied to working class. What they mean by that is he hasn't forgotten where he came from. That he's still, he came out of the working class. So it's not like he's completely forgot about that and pretend and it became basically a neoliberal hack like a Kyle Kalinske or the Young Turks or Crystal Ball. He hasn't forgotten where he came from. I think that's what they people mean by that. How anyone who has criticism of him is a neoliberal with door derangement can't be trusted. There's zero justice when someone's too big to hold account. I mean, is there anything else you want to read? Because I'm gonna wrap this up soon. See, there's something else I wanted to read. I think. I mean, where is it? I lost track of. Still podcasters. Oh, let me just read this one. None of us are perfect though. I learned that I made mistakes. I should have listened more to people hurt by MPP before I joined. I don't know anything about that because I don't know about. I never really took MPP seriously, but I was. Let me move on. I was naive. I should have trusted my gut on AOC and spoken up earlier. But when I realized, I did stand up. Okay. All right, let me. So many victims have reached out to me. Some shared stories about SV and left circles of sexual violence. I was wondering when I initially read this, I was wondering what she meant by SV until I just figured it out now. Sexual violence and who share. I mean, bleh. Some shared stories about SV in left circles who had fellow organizers dismiss it because the mission is bigger. But isn't sexual violence one of the issues that matter? Isn't worker exploitation? Isn't corruption? Again, I don't know who she's referring to, and a lot of that is alleged, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's true because ultimately a lot of men, are just, I'm not making excuses, but a lot of men are just, they think about sex first, and occasionally that leads to some sort of harassment and some sort of, inappropriate action. Again, I'm not excusing it, but that's just the way we are wired, unfortunately. I try not to do that. I try not to overly go too far, but there are times, so that's why, but I'm not excusing the behavior though. It's just that's not what I think is the reason why. Selective ethics, let me see. I think I'm done. Yeah, I mean, you can. I'll link the whole thread in the description box. You guys do want to go through this. There's a lot of responses here too. So, whoops. And let me go back to myself here. Let me turn this off. There we go. Yeah, well, those are my thoughts as I try to be as respectful as possible to Zana Day, and I tried to be balanced here in this video. I hope I was. Like I said, like I prefaced at the beginning, I am a Jimmy Dore fan, and I like his content and I like what he has to say most of the time. There are a few times like when he had Jackson Hinkle on constantly, and to me, he's just a attention seeking clown. I mean, why he had him like last year at some point? He seemed like he had him on every day. It was ridiculous. But yeah, but I do have my criticism of Dore too. So even though I'm a fan of the show, so those are my thoughts. Maybe if she sees this video, unlikely, but let's say she does. If she sees this video and she wants to clarify some things, let me know. I would like to talk to her about this because I'm open minded. I'm not. It's because I'm a Jimmy Dore fan doesn't mean I'm closed minded. And oh no, he's great. He's awesome. Blah, 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 blah. No, I don't do that because I don't know him personally. I don't know him as a. I don't know him. I'm a fan of his show, but I don't know him as a person. That's what I was trying to say there. So yeah, that's it. So this is 20 minutes long, so I'm going to wrap up here. It's way too long as it is. Thank you for watching. Hope if you got to the end, congratulations because I butchered a lot of those words I couldn't read today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Give me a like. Please subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to INN's channel. There's links in the description as well. And tell me what you think in the comments below. And I'll see you guys soon. Thank you for watching.